Thanks for joining us for more lessons in English and math skills. I am Tamika Lodge Fenton. Our first question. This chart shows the value of sales for a company last week. What was the difference in the value of sales on Thursday and on Friday? What is the sales difference? What do we need to look at? They gave us specific days. They gave us the difference between Thursday and Friday. So clearly we need to know the sale for Thursday and the sale for Friday. Let us look at Thursday's sale. Thursday's sale is $4,500, while Friday's sale was $8,000. Now let's just take some attention to the chart, to the graph here. So we look for the bar that represents Thursday. We'd go up on the bar and go across to figure out what is the value of the sales. And as you can see, the bar is pretty much in the middle of 5,000 and 4,000, giving us the 4,500. Friday, it's right on the line. That is lined up with 8,000, and that's how we'd get the values for both Thursday and Friday. Now, what about the difference? Difference, when you're doing difference, you're talking about subtracting. So we're subtracting 4,500 from 8,000, giving us $3,500. And that would have been our difference. So it's pretty much a straightforward question. The more technical part is to be able to read the information that is presented in the graph. And all you have to do is to pay attention to those values that are on your X. Well, on this X-axis, it's just the days of the week. On your Y-axis, it is actually the sale that you'd make, starting from 1,000. All right, next question. The pictograph shows the number of students learning to play different instruments. Then it gave you some information down here. So one, the instruments are violin, trumpet, guitar, and piano. It says the key, which is a note, represents 10 students. That's given information. So now, how many more students are learning to play the guitar than learning to play the violin? All right, so we need to figure out how many students are learning to play the guitar. So let's look at the guitar here. Let us see how many more. So guitar, so you'd count the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And as you can see over there, 8. And each note represents 10 students. So 8 multiplied by 10 would give us 80 students. That's how many students are playing the guitar. Then it said you're comparing it with the violin. So let's look at the violin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes. So the same concept. 5 notes multiplied by 10 give us the number of students, 50 students. Excellent. It's asking how many more students learning to play the guitar. As you can see, more persons are playing the guitar than the violin. So we're subtracting here again, and your answer would be 30 students. Sorry about that. It would be 30 students, and your answer would be option B. Next question. A sales representative usually travels from A to E via C. The road from A to C is short for roadworks. How many kilometers is the shortest route from A to E now? All right, so which is the shortest path? That's what you're being asked to identify. All right, so A to C to E is the regular path. As you can see, I've crossed out C because that road is, A to C is closed for roadworks, what we'd call construction here in Jamaica. So let's look at A to B. If we go A to B, then to D, then to E, how do we calculate that distance? Yes, we'd add the kilometers that each line, each segment would have. So let's do that. So we have A to B to D to E, and that would be 3 kilometers plus 4 kilometers plus another 4 giving us, so you see 3, 4, 4 giving us a total of 11 kilometers. So that's one way to get to E. But there's also another way. A to B, you can go to C via B and then go to E. Let's look at that distance. So it's 3 kilometers here 2 here and then 4 there. And as you can see, that gives us 9 kilometers. So that path would be the shortest and the total would be 9 kilometers. Choice C. Next question. A tourist travels from Alligator Pond to Kingston one day. The next day, she travels from Kingston to Montego Bay. She uses the shortest route for her journey. Approximately, how far does she travel in the 2 days? So let us look at the diagram here. So it gives you a triangular effect here. So this would be Alligator Pond, Kingston over here, and Montego Bay. So if she traveled the shortest, it said she traveled the shortest distance. Okay. So first day from Alligator Pond to Kingston would be 90 kilometers, right? Second day would be from Kingston to Montego Bay, which is 150 kilometers. So basically they're asking you to sum the 2 days. So you would add your 90 kilometers on day 1 to your 150 kilometers on day 2, which will give you 250 kilometers in total. Now, let us look at this question. The figure is not drawn to scale. Find the size of the reflex angle Y. So there are some information that we need to look at. Angles at a point. So we're talking about the angles that are formed at a point. So let us look at the board. You have here so the diagram here has 55 degrees, and you're asked to find the reflex angle, which would total the angles at a point. So there are some fundamental information that you must know in order to access this. Angles at a point add up to 360 degrees. Now, knowing that, if you have one of the angle already, it's very simple from there. 360 subtracting the 55 degrees that you already know would give you 305. And pretty much that's it. Next, a plumber needs 3 lengths of pipe, 1.3 meters, 0.75 meter, and 460 millimeters. What is the total length of the 3 pieces of pipe? What is the length? Pay attention to the unit the options are written in. So the question has units in meters and it has units in millimeters. However, if you look at the options you have, they're all in meters. So you'd probably like to work in meters to make your task easier and to be more effective in how you go about solving this problem. So let us make all the values meters. So let's look at some groundwork here. 10 millimeter is equal to 1 centimeter, right? So we all should know by now that 100 centimeter is equal to 1 meter, right? So in order to figure out how many millimeter makes up a meter, we'd multiply 100 by 10, giving us 1,000 millimeter is equal to 1 meter. Excellent. So to change the millimeter to meter, we'll divide by 1,000 to see how much of that 1,000 we have, and we have 0.46 of a meter when we have 460 millimeter. Now we can just pretty much total everything, and we'll add everything, 1.3 meter plus 0.75 meter plus 4.6 meter, giving us 2.51 meter. Next question we have up for today. The time in New York is 5 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time. When it is 1600 hours, Greenwich Mean Time, what time is it in New York? Let us take a look at the 24-hour clock here, because if we're looking at 1600 hours, we are actually reading time using a 24-hour clock, or what we call Army time. So each day as we begin at that 12. So in the early morning, just before dawn, that 12 would be that inner 12. Then that early morning, 1, 2, 3, most of us may, in Jamaica, we're early risers, so we may wake up at 5 a.m. That's indicated by the inner numbers. Now, when it is 12 noon, we go up here. 1 o'clock is the 1300, 1400. That would be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, let's continue with the question. So it's now 1600. What time are we looking at? So it's actually 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So there you go. So it's 4 p.m. Every hour, when we're looking at the 24 hour, is indicated by adding another 100 hours. So we have 1300, 1400, 1500. Good. So if it says we're 5 hours earlier, that means we want to take away 500 hours, giving us 1100 hours. Now, if you're at 1100 hours, what time is that? It would be 11 a.m. in the day. So it would be before midday. So it would be 11 a.m. And that would be your time. All right, next question. Which of the following has the smallest value? So we have, first question you need to ask yourself, how will we compare? You have a 20%, you have a half, a 0.25 or 25 hundredth, 2 out of 5. How are you going to compare? They're all written differently. So the first thing we'll want to do is to represent all values in the same format. And today we're going to use, as my little emoji there, or my little diagram tells you, we're going to use percentages. So we're going to take, we already have 20%. We're going to convert half to percentage, 25 hundredths to percent, and 2 out of 5 to a percent. So half of 100% is 50%. That was pretty easy. And then you have 25 hundredths is really 25 out of 100. So the percentage there is 25%. Then you have 2/5, which is 2 out of 5, which is 2/5 of 100, and that would give us 40%. Now, when all the values are in the same format, comparing them is way easier. So out of 20, 50, 25, 40, which is the smallest value? That's a giveaway. So the answer is 20%. But the skill set that you'd have to have is being able to convert all the other formats to percentages in order to compare it. You could also compare them to fractions. You could also bring everything to fractions and then compare. All right, next question. A man wants to draw a wall on a plan. The scale on the plan is 1 to 50. The wall is 10 meters long. What is the length of the wall on the plan? What does a scale tell us? That's the first thing. A scale has no units. So pretty much you need to understand that at scale means both values on either side of that ratio is saying the same unit. So let us look. So 1 centimeter on the drawing is representing 50 centimeters in real life. There you go. So now with that being said, 1 meter would be how much centimeters? Remember, 1 centimeter on the plan represents 50 centimeters. So you need to go back now to our previous question we did. 100 centimeters make up 1 meter. Therefore, 2 centimeters would give you 1 meter. Having known that, 10 meters would then be 10 multiplied by 2 centimeters, because for every meter you have, it's equal to 2 centimeters. So I can multiply my 10 by 2 centimeters, giving me 20 centimeters. Now, if you can't see this, you can probably do it a little way. It would probably take a little bit more time. But if you have 1 centimeter representing 50 centimeters, you know that 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. So you're going to need 2 of this to give you 100. That's pretty much what it is. So 2 centimeters on the drawing would represent 100 centimeter, which is the same as 1 meter. So I can write 2 represents 1, oh, I can't write it like that. So 2 centimeter equal 1 meter. And the calculation is right there, and you could also work it out. 40 students sat a test. The range of the scores was 30%. The highest score on the test was 64%. What was the lowest score? Okay, what is the range? You have to remember how to calculate the range, and it is the highest score subtracting the lowest score gives you the range. You are given the highest score. You do not know, they're asking you to figure out what the lowest score is. You also know what the range is. You plug it into this very simple formula, and you transpose pretty much. 64% subtract 30% will give you the lowest score, which is 34%. The lowest score is 34%. In a box, there are n red marbles and 3 times as many black marbles. There are 36 marbles in the box. How many red marbles are there in the box? Let us see how we're going to approach this. They're pretty much asking you to write an equation to represent what is in the box. N will represent red marbles. 3 times n will represent black marbles, and we can simplify 3 times n by writing 3n. And of course, when you add the red and the black marbles together, you get all the marbles in the box, which is 36 marbles. So let us substitute those variables now in this. So we have n plus 3n gives us 36, and that is your formula to tell you what is in the box. Next question. The distance time graph showing 4 car journeys. So let's understand what this graph is saying. The graph is asking which car is traveling the fastest. As you can see, speeding away. So we have car A, B, C, and D. Let's start from the lowest line here. Now, before we go there, how would you know who is traveling the fastest? What's the question you'd have to ask yourself? The one who reaches the furthest in the least time. So let us look at where car D is at. On your y-axis is the distance in mile. On your x-axis, time in minutes. So 4 minutes would have a little bit over 4 minutes, and car D haven't even traveled a mile. Car C, roughly the same time. It's pretty much almost 2 miles into it. So car C is traveling faster than car D. Car B is past 3 miles, but car A shot it and gone 4 miles within this pretty much the same time. So the answer is car A would have been traveling the fastest. Okay, what is the gradient of this line? Remember the gradient or slope. Gradient is equal to the rise over run. The rise is a change in y values, and run the change in x. Now let's use these points A and B. So we're moving from here to here, here to here. Rise would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, as you can see indicated by the 10 here. So we have 10 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 divided by 5 giving us a gradient of 2. So the rate of change for each point here is 2. That is the gradient, and it gives us an uphill, which is a positive gradient. All right, and our final question for the afternoon. An aircraft is flying on a bearing of 135 degrees. In which direction is it traveling? So there are some things that we must take in consideration. Bearings is always in relation to the North Pole. And as you can see, the N here indicates your north. So start at north. Between 0 and 90 would be northeasterly. So this is your northeast. Now that's 90 degrees up to this point. E is at 90. So east represents 90. And then you have between 90 and south, between 90 and 180 is southeasterly. So if 135 falls within this range, that means it is southeasterly. So the plane is traveling southeasterly. That's all the time we have for today's session.